Welcome to episode 1 of Keep the Hotel Empty. I'm your host, Eric Paul. In studio today, we are grateful to welcome an extraordinary barber and successful entrepreneur, Fresko Fadez. Fresko talks about his start personally, what it takes to be a great barber, and some of the things he does to maintain and expand a thriving, successful business. Enjoy. So, welcome to Keep the Hotel Empty.
Thanks.
Today we have kept the hotel empty to bring in our friend Fresko Fadez, the man, the legend, the barber of the area here. We got a lot
Legend.
Yeah. Well, man, you got quite a reputation. Started from nothing, and when we're 4 shops deep. So, I'd like to start maybe a little bit back at the beginning. I know you got barber in your blood. I know you got creativity in your blood. I know this is something that you've been doing since you were young.
Yeah.
So let's start at the start. Take me back to when young Manny finds out that barbering is this for me.
Yeah, so this is how it all started. All right. So growing up, my dad, he started cutting hair. He picked that up when I was a baby, and he picked it up as I was a baby. So as I grew up, I just watched him. He worked in a salon, and then from there, he just decided, I'm just gonna do house calls. Cut up at the house, had a little spot built over there, so I'd see him cut hair, growing up. And sometimes we didn't have a babysitter, so I'd ride with him to a person's house. He'd do 4 or 5 haircuts at one house, and I'd be there watching. He said I'd always like watching. I mean, unless I was playing with their kids or something. But
right, and how old are you at this time?
I'm like growing up, 6, 7 years old,
That's so
5
cool.
years old. I'm sure he took me around as a baby too sometimes.
So you're getting to see all aspects out of the gate, like from working in a structured environment to doing cuts wherever you can do
grinding. I watched my dad grind, go house to house to house, and I don't know. I always liked it. I loved it. So I grew a liking to it, and eventually I started practicing on my own head or whatever. I'd practice on my dad. He would show me what to do. I had cousins and, local friends in the area that would, let me practice on them. But that was more once we had already moved to Florida and I got a little older. I was like 10, 11 years old.
Okay, so where did you start from before Florida? Where were you?
So we lived in Chicago. I was born in Chicago, and then I lived in Cicero for a little bit, and it was just really bad. My family was like, we're getting the hell out of here.
Yeah.
So, but that's originally where I have a picture, a pretty famous picture, I guess, of me and my dad, and I'm kind of cutting his hair.
Right.
And that was taken back in Cicero. So.
Okay, cool.
I was probably 6 or 7 years old in that picture. So.
Okay, so how old were you when you came here?
It was 1994, so we're probably like 9 years old.
Okay, so at that point you've been well exposed to the hair cutting, and that's what's going to be going down in Florida too.
Now I'm getting a little older. I can hold a clipper, and my dad and I freak out.
So was there ever a time, I know for most kids, me included, you think when you're little you want to be an athlete, you want to be a rock star, you want to be a whatever. Your line was barber from go.
I want to be a barber.
That's so cool.
I was like, I want to be a barber, and that's it.
So when you're like 8, 9, 10 in that area, you're starting to cut your own hair.
I'm starting to practice, and eventually get a cousin to let me practice on them, whether I was going to mess up or not.
Yeah.
I pretty much did something I can't mess up, take it all down one size and give them a hairline, And, I always stuck to trying to be safe. So I never really messed up too many heads, actually, which is kind of surprising. If anything, I messed up my own practicing haircuts on myself. But yeah, at about 11 years old is when I finally started like, all right, I know how to knock down a haircut, give you an edge. That's $5.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So I started making money pretty early in life.
Yeah.
As a young kid.
Well, that's the benefit of having the exemplary nature of your dad.
It's like, I'm going to grind. I'm going to make money. I know how to do it, whether I'm 11 years old or not. I can start making money.
So when everybody else is thinking, they've graduated out of lemonade stand, you're already cutting hair.
Yeah, man. That's what I was that was my mission.
So you have this innate drive to do your thing and make something of it.
Yeah.
Does that, I know obviously that stems from watching your dad and all those things, but where else at that early of an age, or even as you're just starting to progress into cutting hair, and I'm assuming hitting kids up at school, and it's now starting to be Fresko can cut hair when you get into middle school, I imagine, yeah?
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Once I was in middle school, I was 6th, 7th, 8th grade, I was cutting hair. I was killing it.
So where else at that point were you drawing that inspiration from, or was it just enough of a seed in your own innate drive?
Yeah. I mean, that seed was planted in my heart, in my brain, and that's all I wanted to do, and I pushed for it. Though obviously my father was a motivator. Mm-hmm. It was already planted in my head that that's what I was gonna do. So I just kept pushing.
All right, so take me to when you're like in middle school now and you're cutting hair for money and people know you can cut hair. How does that road get you to where I sort of meet you when you got your very first shop here and it's, hole in the wall? How did you get yourself from, hey, I think I can do this, to I'm absolutely doing that? What was that couple of years like for you?
All right, so through middle school, everyone learned that I was able to do it, able to cut hair and give you a decent cut. So as soon as I hit high school, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, I grew quick, and I was one of the only guys in school cutting hair, so who wouldn't want to come and get a cheap haircut from me real quick and just as good as a barbershop damn near,
Yeah, and be fresh.
So I was cutting hair in high school, in class. I was in the cosmetology class, so I would bring students to the class to cut them up, and I'd be able to get people out of class to get my haircut because I needed credits.
That's cool. When did you start that? Were you able to start that?
That was all through high school. That was cosmetology. They offered it in my high school.
And that was in St. Pete?
Yeah. So I lived in St. Pete from when we had moved from Chicago, and did all my schooling over there. And let's see, right after high school, I moved over to Sarasota for a little bit. I love it out here. I have cousins out here, which is why I know about it.
Right.
And I just always liked it out here. So I moved out here pretty much by myself and lived with my cousins. And I worked at like 2 barbershops out here too. And I did pretty good out here. I had a big following. So Sarasota was always in the back of my mind that, I really love it out here. Maybe I'll live out here one day, my whole life. So I eventually moved back to St. Pete, and I finished up my schooling, barbering, because you got to have a barber license to open up a barber shop, go work somewhere, because inspector walks in, you're getting kicked out.
Right.
All that hard time you spent building clientele, being broke, whatever.
This was a big part of the transition from doing it at, off the cuff into doing it legit.
Exactly. So I had to finish up my schooling. Finish that up. It was a little late. I was like 22, 23 by the time that happened. Wow. And actually, I met my wife over here in Sarasota, and we started talking. And I finished up schooling, and I moved over here and started my life. So that's when all of Sarasota got to really know me, though I already had friends out here.
Right.
Since I was young. So it kind of helped me out a little bit, and I had I would say the group of my friends out here are very known and popular. And so I blew up pretty quick once I opened up my first shop.
Right.
But before that, I was working at 2 shops out here, and it wasn't good.
Yeah. Well, that's the transition time.
I had to do my own thing. They didn't have the style out here that I liked. I was one of the very first shops open out here as far as the young urban shop owner.
Right.
There was other urban shops, obviously. I by far was probably the youngest guy that opened a shop out here, though.
Right.
I was only 23, just turned 24 when I first opened. And it was small, it wasn't nothing crazy. It was 300 square feet, about as big as this room.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that's when people started mentioning to you, because at that point we were at the studio and I was having artists come in and people come in, and, I actually had a photographer come in who had one of your early Fresko Fadez stickers on the back of his truck.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
But let me ask you this. What kind of advantage do you see in hindsight, or how did it feel to you at the time to be able able to take the cosmetology classes in high school instead of having to wait to go to some kind of technical college or whatever, how did it feel at the time? And in hindsight, how do you see that being an advantage, getting to be able to start earlier in school? Public school setting, right?
Right, yeah. So, a lot of people will start that class not ever even doing any of this first, like started cutting hair as young and then getting into the class. So it was an advantage to me that I was able to learn more on something I already was learning on my own. So that's a big advantage because I already knew all this compared to everyone else.
Right.
So I was always at the top of the class, whatever. From the moment I got in, it was just a big, it was a good thing that I already knew what I knew, So it just shot me forward.
Do you think your timeline or even the trajectory of your success would have been different had you not been able to have those cosmetology classes in high school?
Definitely. Yeah, because, a lot of people that don't get to do that, they continue doing what I was doing, house to house or whatever, and not taking it as serious as it should, because you need that license. So they end up going longer and longer without getting a license and getting in trouble and bouncing around shops and blah, blah.
Right.
So I was already able to, know mentally, knew the laws and all that stuff, that I need to get this.
So it was a clear decision for you that going legit and doing this the right way, quote unquote, was the plan.
No, for sure, because you can't get too far without the license. You can't.
Right.
You can until you get caught. And that's puts all your hard work down the drain.
Right.
And I really wish they would offer more of these classes in schools nowadays. Especially with barbering and hair being so big now, the industry is huge.
Right.
And I feel high schools, they definitely need to offer that more, whether it's some type of trade. I think every school needs to offer a couple trades in each.
Yeah, I see that a lot. I mean, we both got kids in varying ages, and I see how much the school system specializing them a little bit earlier is an advantage. And I was, curious how that was for you because, that was pretty early on.
No, yeah, it's a blessing. And plus, they use those credits you build those 4 years of school towards your school when you want to finish and you get out.
Right.
If you don't finish the hours in that time, they take the hours that you did, and those hours are free now because it was from public school.
Right.
So when you go to the technical college to finish, say you got 400 hours left, you only pay 400 hours instead of the full course.
Right.
So that helps people a lot financially, and kids that just don't have the money to spend on school.
And not get behind the curve. Yeah.
And people just don't got it.
Okay, so
that messes people up too with getting a license and schooling and all that.
Yeah, it's weird because the licensing that surrounds having to barber is. Can you fill me in a little bit on this? It's as stringent as it would be if you were like insane. A piercer or a tattoo artist or something of that nature, right? Because you could cut people and you have to have those type of.
Well, even then, like a piercer or tattoo artist don't need to go to school for 1,200 hours,
right,
to get a license. You know what I mean? Which I'm not downplaying it at all.
No, but the regulations.
It's just crazy what they do for the barbering. You got to go to school for 1,200 hours, right? But 1,200 hours takes a year to finish when you're in hair school, right? Because it's full-time or part-time, and then maybe you're an adult now. You don't even have time for full-time, so now you got to do part-time. It takes almost 2 years. That's the schooling's insane. And then you got to do 300 haircuts and 500 shampoos, 200 colors. Like it's pretty intense to do hair compared to some other professions that I feel definitely need to have some more of a program they need to follow or something to get licensed.
Right. And see that's what made me think, barbering is such an old trade.
Yeah.
Is there do you find a lot of these criteria, for lack of a better term, or these bars that they set to make sure people can do it is something that's just been rooted in barbering for so long?
Well, here's another thing is like they expect you to do all this, right? And the way it used to operate is when you would finish the main schooling, you know, you would take the big exam, you know, and then you'd have to do a haircut. And you'd have to prove that you know how to do all the steps during a basic haircut that everyone follows to pass this exam, you know.
Right.
They took that away. And then they had it for the state board that you're supposed to be able to go take the written and then do the practical in front of a bunch of judges, you know, in front of a bunch of
And the practical
people.
is the haircutting itself.
Yeah, you got to do a haircut, but they took it away. Too many people were failing, and they're trying to make it to where anyone can pass now, which is not a good thing.
Right. But this is a stimulating a business trend maneuver, I imagine.
Yeah. And now I guess it got even more difficult. People can't do the 1,200 hours. That now they're lowering it to 600, but now you get a lesser of a license. You don't get that full license. You know, you're only able to do a couple things as a barber. When you get the full license, you can do hair. I mean, as far as color, sorry.
Right.
Do coloring, permanents, perms, chemical treatments, stuff like that. So
I guess this is just a matter of trying to flood the workforce, because this is actually something I wanted to ask you about, because I know that you've been around in this transition, because I would say maybe 10, 12 years ago when you first came on my radar, I know these kind of barbershops had prominence in bigger cities, you know, but here it was something different. And now this barber culture that you're well part of and well represent is so ubiquitous and so everywhere. Like, what do you think the impact has been with now, I hate to say it, but anybody that wants to think they're a barber hangs out a shingle and starts cutting hair? What do you think about how big the barbering culture has gotten?
The barbering culture has gotten huge, and with that being said, so many people coming into this industry. We have a lot of great people. We have a lot of great people with new ideas and coming up with new styles and cool stuff. But with that being said, so many people flooding the cultures. There's a lot of people that just are coming just for the money and not really caring about the culture.
Right.
They're not caring about the culture. They're doing whatever they want to do. They're not caring about the customers. They, you know, technically, barbers in my type of establishment, you know, they're 1099. You know, they pay a booth rent.
Right.
That's what they do. And, you know, someone looked up, I guess, one day, you know, as a 1099 booth renter, you're allowed to do what you want, basically. And a lot of people are miscomprehending that, and it's not just do what you want because you're your own business, 1099.
Right, yeah.
They think, I can do what I want, you know, as long as I pay my rent, I'm out, you know, I do what I want. And it wasn't like that before. Every barber knew that they're their own boss in 1099 10 plus years ago, right? But now they have it in their head that, you know, they just come in, work with, cut hair, do what they want, and leave. Don't help out, don't do nothing at the shop, whatever. And it's being flooded with a lot of newer barbers that have that mentality, which is kind of messing up the industry as far as how barbershops are operating.
And do you think that has to do with them just coming up in this already changed environment and having no like tie to barbering 10, 20, 30 years ago?
Yes. Yeah, that definitely. And I feel a lot of schools aren't implementing and letting them know how you should be when you start working at someone's business. Like, the common sense of working at somewhere is leaving.
Right.
You know, it's like, I get a job somewhere, I'm going to respect the rules there and, you know, do my thing and do my best to help out when I don't have nothing to do, or help the boss promote or something. Yo, what do I need to do, man? You need some help, something?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's the greater than the sum of your parts mentality.
Bro, I'm out. See you.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it mutually benefits everybody, I imagine, in an environment like yours. I mean, I know you get quite a bit of walk-in traffic, but everybody's reputation is kind of built on everybody else's and yours to start with.
So if things aren't stable and then there's no people sitting at work wait for people to walk in and the shop's just empty, it's like, you know, the barbershop style is changing. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's interrupting things, I guess.
So the technical skill is a big part of it, and I know you personally, and I know a lot of the barbers in your shop have exemplary technical skills. That's obvious.
No,
everybody can cut hair, and we know that part. But let me ask you about some of the things you've had to learn along the way in this 1099, this sort of thing. Brought this up to me. Mm-hmm. What are some of the extra skills you've had to get along the way, or have you found yourself becoming an expert at things that you never ever thought you've had to do? Because, to make some of this long story short, you've gone from this 300 square foot shop, this area you've described to 4 shops now in 3 counties. So what's some of the other skills besides being able to cut hair that you found yourself now, unfortunately or fortunately, find yourself good at?
So I feel like I've always had all these skills. They were just on a smaller level. Mm-hmm. But as you grow, everything just goes with it. And I've always had customer service. My customer service just got bigger. You know what I mean? I've always cared about my customers. Customer service is a big thing that you need to learn. How to keep your patience and how to talk to people, what to say. You got to learn all that stuff as a business owner. You can't say certain things. You can't,
Where do you find that you or any of your barbers have struggled with that? Because I know in an environment like yours, it can be intimidating, and certain people have to be made to feel comfortable more than others and things like that.
So with that, definitely the barbers, sometimes, we're not all thinking on the same page, how to react and all that stuff. So sometimes you'll see a barber flip out, and I'm like, dude, chill.
Yeah. Well, everybody's human. Whether now we're getting our hair cut.
Relax, man.
Yeah.
So just trying to project good customer service onto the rest of the shops, all the barbers and everything. Your shops always reek of confidence and calm, and I know that trickles on down. And how is that for you to have to set the example for the other barbers around, especially like you're saying, the young guys who don't necessarily know, and they have to look to you because you're the man that's got 4 shops? Dude, every day all I try to do is set examples. That's it. From the moment I wake up, I post, hey guys, good morning. You guys could be doing this too. Let's get up, do your thing. Get to work in time. Come on. Let's grind. Let's tighten things up. I'm always trying to motivate nothing but good habits.
And you're doing that directly with your staff?
Yeah. No, yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm in 4 shops, but in the morning I'm texting. Right. Hey, good morning, guys. What's up? I do that. I'm not just not messaging and not paying attention to them. I try my best to still stay in each circle's lives,
Right.
And motivate and set good examples, But we're all only human, we can only do our best.
Well, that's cool. I mean, all of your shops reek of your character personally, and I think that's cool.
Yeah, I try my best to rub off on them and, show them what a good vibe is like in the shop and all that for the customers and how to pay attention to people, what to look out for. And, it's all, I'm teaching them nothing but good things that will help in any business. So whether they want to open up their own business, the way I run it is a good way to set an example for them.
Right.
So
now that you've gone from 1 small shop to 4 shops, you obviously can't be in 4 places at once, and you can't be inspiring and motivating everybody in real time in person.
Right.
So 2 questions kind of come from that. How is it that you managed to spin all those plates and split that time like that? Because you're going from here to St. Pete.
Yeah.
And how is it that you find somebody that you can leave to be not necessarily pseudo you while you're gone, but at least make sure that they're holding up your flag and making sure that your morals and mantras are being carried out when you're not there?
All right. So the first shop is the oldest shop. We opened in 2012.
And that's here in Sarasota, the north?
Yes,
okay.
Sarasota. It used to be, it was Fresko Fadez 1 on Fruitville and Lime.
Yeah.
In the little plaza over there, but we moved it to a bigger location, more parking and all that on 301 in North King. And that opened over in 2012. So basically is like my brother over there, Wicho. He's been with me for, oh my God, so long, over 7 years. So,
at the point that you opened up the shop on Northgate?
Right.
Okay.
Right. So he's been with me for a hot minute, and he's hardworking man, family man, good morals, respect, works hard, works probably about as hard as me. So if I see that in you, you're definitely gonna be a manager over there.
You were running just Northgate, only that one shop for how long before you opened two?
All right, so it was at Lime when I opened two. So.
Oh, okay.
I was at Lime for about 8 years, and then we finally opened up two, or 7 years, and then we finally opened up two. And then after we opened up two, a year later, I had to move the first location.
Right. Okay. That's right.
Mm-hmm. So two is going on 4 years, 4.5 years, something like that. And 2 years later, we opened up three in Bradenton. So, and we have a manager in each shop. Like I said, they're just. I feel like.
And your main guy is still managing one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I feel like when I go to the hiring, I feel like if I could see a little bit of me in you, the respect, grinding, and no making excuses and not full of shit, then that's what I look for, And Wicho's been with me forever. He's actually running that whole spot by himself because I'm working 2 days in 3 locations, the second, third, and the fourth. So in each shop I have a manager, and second I got Ralph, third I got Bruiser, fourth I got Jay, and first is Wicho. And all these guys right here, they're all grinders. They all got respect for the business. They all take care of the business. They all know how to operate the business, keep the good vibes going, good music, having the whole ambiance, you know what I mean?
Right.
Of how I like to have the shops run.
Right.
So those guys all showed them a good example on how to do it, and they do it, and they're doing great.
So the main qualities that you got to have are the qualities that you value in yourself: being honest, being disciplined, good moral fiber, and still knowing how to have a good time while we're cutting hair.
Exactly.
So I noticed one of the X factor qualities is your self-discipline, and I know that just because of the way you operate your businesses and things like that. But I also know that from your physical fitness being a big part of your life, your meal prep. You're a guy that doesn't leave any T's uncrossed or I's undotted, and I know that that's a challenging thing. Just from watching it.
No, it is.
So let me ask you this. I know you burn the candle at both ends. If you're running 2 days a week, 3 shops, that's 6 days. You get 1 day to try to regroup and do it all over again.
And family day.
Yeah, right. And you got kids and a family. Yeah. So this can't be easy every day. You can't have the gas for that every day, even with the dedication. So let me ask you this. What's it like on those days when you got to push? When it's like, hey, I got to go through the motions. Is it motivating for you to be in the position to know that you've got people relying on you that you need to motivate? Where do you get that bit of gas when you got no gas?
So daily, I'm always a pretty high energy kind of guy. I wake up 5:30, 6 a.m. And I mean, it's the summertime. My kids don't got to be at school. So yeah, I've been sleeping in maybe 30 extra minutes.
Yeah.
Maybe 30 extra minutes, bro. So I'm usually
you get to be on summer too, a little bit.
4:45. Now I wake up at like 5:30, But.
And that's a 7 days a week routine?
So Monday through Friday. When I compete though, I'm 7 days a week.
And competing, you're talking
bodybuilding shows.
Gotcha.
So that's my new love, my sport. So, but yeah, we'll get into that.
Yeah.
So every day I post videos of me getting up and trying to motivate people and say, hey guys, get up. You might be tired, but just get up and do some jumping jacks real quick. I don't know, jump in the shower, whatever you got to do. Every day I motivate people. I make these videos, then I show me taking my pre-workout, going to the gym, doing workouts. I record almost my whole routine every morning. And I don't want to, I mean, this is what it is. All the time, I always get messages from lots of people, random people. Hey man, I appreciate you for posting this. It really helped me out. Yo, ever since you started posting these videos, you working out every morning, it finally motivated me and I've been working out.
Nice.
Yo bro, I'm really gonna try this out. Hey, how do you do this workout? I really like it. Even some older people will hit me up. Hey, I love the stuff you're posting. You're so motivating, good stuff, you know. Just like in a nutshell, that's about like, I'll hear all these things, and sometimes I get a message this long from someone on how much I help them, you know. So those days where I feel like shit and I'm like, I know no one else would go to the gym right now, or no one else would get up and go to work right now.
Right.
But I got so many people, like, not want to say depending, but hoping to see me post something that's going to motivate them. And
so the energy
for me,
right? So the energy that you put out does help return.
And it's also to set examples. You know what I'm saying? That you don't have to fucking. Sorry.
No.
You don't have to. You don't have to sleep in just because you had a couple of drinks the day before. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Or, you know, sometimes that's what it is, but it's like, dude, just get your ass up, get in that damn shower, go get you some breakfast, eat a bunch of bread, and get to work. You know
right.
what I mean?
Well, the excuse voice gets loud for people, and the excuse voice gets easy. How do you keep that down? How do you keep that down?
I cuss myself out. I literally yell at myself. I'd be like, Manny, get your ass up, bro. Fresko, Manny.
Yeah. So you have no problem being strict with yourself.
Oh, no, bro. My voice. Hold on. Let me see if I can find this. Let me see if I can find this alarm. So my phone talks to me. My own alarm says, wake that ass up. Last chance, fucker. Don't forget vitamins. Start waking up. Gym, bitch. And the phone actually says it out loud when it goes off. It'll say, wake that ass up.
So these parts of it are ingrained. These are ingrained.
Bro, like I make sure that I get done what I need to get done.
So what's your process for developing these routines? Because clearly a lot of your success and forward momentum is built on the fact that you can make routines pretty well. How do you make these routines? How do you stick yourself to them?
So I look at my hours of life I have per day, you know, and my goals for the day, or I set goals for the day, week, month, year, years, 5 years, 10 years.
And you write them down?
Actually, some of them are written down. Some of them are just something that's mentally there. It's just there. I'm not.
You're just checking in with them along the way.
I'm not gonna forget. The things that you would really write are things that you would write like that are like a daily, weekly, maybe monthly. But the things you got planned in a year from now is like it's there. Get a little closer, then you start putting it together.
Gotcha.
But yeah. You have a certain amount of hours in a day. Don't waste them. You know what I mean? If you're doing something that's keeping you incapable of making your life better, then you need to figure that shit out and stop that.
Right.
You know? So I just, I have so many things to do. I have to be up early. I have to be up early because I have to go to the gym too, and I'm not trying to do it at the end of the night when I should be hanging out at home with the family. So boom, that has to be done in the morning. That's it. 100% has to be done. So a lot of the things is just being real with yourself and knowing I don't have time to waste. I need to set a routine for myself.
So is your consciousness of the fact that we got a limited time on this earth and a limited time in general, what helps make it easier for you to make sure you're not wasting it?
First off, I wish we had 8 days a week at least. That would be great. But yeah, I do feel, especially recently, I'm 36, but ever since I was about 25, 26, I was like, fuck, time's flying. Time is flying, and I don't have time to waste.
And you were a father at that point, yeah?
Oh, yeah, I've been a father since I was 17.
Okay.
So my oldest, he's about to be 19 on the 25th here this month.
Dang.
So, and yeah, I just, you don't have time to waste. I don't know what people are waiting for.
Right.
And I'm someone that just has that locked into my head, and so I make sure I don't waste time. You know, obviously you enjoy yourself here and there or whatever.
Yeah, right.
But when it comes down to life and getting shit done, like, you don't have time to waste, dude. You know, you don't. A lot of people say YOLO, and I'm like, yeah, you only live once. You
Right.
only live once. You need to also not just party your ass off. You need to
Live while you're here.
live a good life. Maybe I want people to remember my name, not forget my name.
Right.
You know, not saying it's a bad thing if they forget it, but that's what's in my head. I want to be remembered. So I'm going to keep doing big things to keep it there, keep my name in history.
Right. And do you think that, you know, having these barbershops, and now your youngest has been around you and he's starting to show interest in
He's
the
the
clipper?
one that wants to take over. He's like, so when do I get to take over? I'm like, dude, you still got to learn how to cut hair.
Right.
You still gotta learn how to cut hair. Yeah. But he's already trying. He practices on his, and my father-in-law's grandfather.
Right.
He's practiced on me, my dad. So he's definitely gonna probably take over for sure. He's 11 now. Got 7 years to turn him into a beast. So let's see.
So yeah, that's all part of that managing time too.
Yeah.
I'm sure having kids keeps you conscious of the fact that time is moving and we got to move with it.
No, for sure. Yeah. And then when you got kids, you really ain't got more time to waste.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you want to set such a cool example for them, and you want them to, you know, almost be like, yeah, that's my dad, you know?
Right. So was having your father be the influence that he was and the part of your life that he was, it would make that, you know, obviously that helped contribute to that being innately important to you?
Yeah. Because I seen him like that. So, you know, I'm like, shit.
Right.
I want my kids to see me like that too, right?
Right. So your youngest is getting into clipping, and I know your oldest is a pretty damn talented artist.
Oh, yeah.
So you just got creativity in the family, huh?
Yeah, they're all pretty creative. I have two of my other boys. The oldest one, he plays piano, guitar.
Awesome.
And also the oldest one too, he knows how to play the instruments too. And the other one, he wants to be a UFC fighter, so we'll see. We'll see what happens.
He might find out that after a couple punches he can draw too.
Right? Right.
Shit, wait a minute, my nose hurts. Where's that pencil at?
Yeah, right? How'd you draw that?
So, obviously you get to, you have to do you follow the trends and do the cuts that people want, but have you always felt that you've been able to employ your creativity into your
for sure.
cutting hair?
I've always been like an artist since I was a kid. I was always drawing. Outside of cutting hair and being a kid, I was always drawing. My older brother, he's an artist too. Like, it runs in our family, this art. So now I was more of like the graffiti and cool, you know, but I get to put that on people's heads when people ask me for designs.
Right.
It's a big part of my creativity for hair designs and, you know, beards and all that. Hairstyles, hawks.
Right. Definitely know that world.
Coming in with that hawk right there.
Definitely know that life.
Yeah. So, but yeah, definitely it plays a big part of my creativity for hair. So
how much do you see the culture influencing the trends and the styles that you have to do, and then how much of that can come from people like you who have some creativity and are willing to try a different cut, and then that becomes a trend? How does that cycle work? Because I see so much in barbers and people's cosmetics and all that stuff. Everything changes so quickly. You know, how is riding that wave, and what parts do the culture play into that?
So in the barbering world right now, we're kind of traveling backwards right now. So it's like history's repeating itself, and like,
are we going kid and play?
Haircuts are coming back right now, and art has a lot to do with it, but definitely history has a lot to do with it right now. With fashion as well too, all that's changing right now. I mean, the comb over came back. That's like a 1930s, 40s hairstyle or something,
right,
back in the day, you know. So fashion and all that has a big part of influence on hair. I would say that's for a lot of the newer hairstyles, but the most hairstyles still stuck is the official normal fades, high fade, slick backs and stuff like that.
So so how much do you see, and I only know this briefly or minutely from the tattoo world, that so many tattoo artists, everybody comes in with their picture on Instagram and says, I want this or something like this. Mm-hmm. I imagine you find some of that too. You're a lot of clients, you come in, you're trying to do Instagram.
It's so funny. So, and that's another thing, that people are seeing these haircuts that a lot of the barbers are posting these days. And they see these haircuts a lot of barbers are posting these days, but those are haircuts that have been sprayed with hair color or to make it look fuller and darker and stuff. So sometimes people come in, they're like, we want this, and it's like, dude, that dude was sitting in a chair for like 2 hours, got airbrushed and all that. So sometimes it helps a lot that people come in knowing the kind of style they want, but sometimes it's like you don't even know what they really did, dude. That's a long service right there.
Right.
But it helps a lot when people do that.
What would you say Instagram and social media has done for the barber world? Because when you started, Instagram was barely a thing.
Instagram had barely. So when I first opened shop, Instagram had like just barely started, and they weren't doing all that yet. But man, it has helped this industry tremendously. It's pretty much what got us more blown up again, because barbering was, I'm not gonna say it was like dying out, but it wasn't like everyone was like, yo, I want to be a barber.
It was more of an underground thing.
It was more of someone that already had barbering in their family, and that's who became barbers these days. But now it's like social media made it like we're rock stars now.
That was going to be my next question.
We're rock stars. We can make you look like a rock star, rapper, whatever you want.
Right.
And now it's cool to have your own barber. Like, that's the thing. Like, oh, I got my barber. You got your barber? Who's your barber?
Yeah, right. It's got a lot of parallels to the tattoo artist world, it seems like.
Yeah, it's blown it up big time, and it's done nothing but good. Good, but with good comes bad also.
Right.
With like anything. So, but it's done more good than anything. So it's definitely put us on a higher platform.
And being able to put a face to your skill helps.
Yeah. No, for sure.
That's cool. Mm-hmm. So, it's not just barbers, it's not just the culture. You're branching out all over. You have your own line of products and all your merch, and I know that's not where you started either. So what is it like when Fresko's alarm goes off at 4:30 in the morning and he's like, shit, today I've got to get these products going. I've got to branch out. How does that happen? How do you take the step from I'm cutting hair to I'm diversifying my income?
That's another thing that I'm learning as well, and I can't say that I'm 100% pro at, but I'm learning, and that's another motivating thing. I could just have someone else do it for me or whatever and spend more money having someone do it, but I'm doing it myself, and that's another thing where I'm trying to motivate people. Do it yourself. Learn it.
And what are the main hair care products and self-care products that you provide beyond the merch?
We have the 24K hair molding gel. That's by Fresko Fadez, and that was like our very first project.
And you were involved in the development of that stuff?
Yes. I actually hired a chemist named Vanessa. She's over in Lakeland. And I found her through a friend that had created his own shave gel.
Oh, nice.
So he shared with me, and met her, and the gel came out amazing.
Yeah.
So everyone loves it that likes gel.
I was gonna say I've put up a mohawk or two with it. I can attest to that.
Everyone loves it, and it sells. It's sold out, and I had to redo a whole other batch, and it's selling and it's doing good. But I know I needed more than just a hair gel, because not everyone uses hair gel.
Right.
So we also created our own matte cream. And we also have our own volumizing hair powder, and those all everyone loves them all. So I made sure I touched the 3 bases that are needed for any hairstyle, pretty much.
Right.
Especially these days. The hair powder, that's huge nowadays. You know, everyone's using that. And the matte cream is, first off, it's amazing. Everyone loves it.
And that's more
that
like
came out great, man. That is sick.
Tell me about that. I'm totally unfamiliar with that.
So the matte cream is, first off, it's called Marble Matte Cream by Fresko Fadez.
And you were involved in development of this as well?
Yes. So I'm doing sample after sample after sample, and I'm just like, nope, that's not it. Nope, that's not it. Nope. Okay, mix this and this. Let's do that one. And that came out amazing. It's probably everyone's favorite at the moment right now. So it's a matte cream. You know, you can put it in wet, and you just put in about a quarter size amount if you got some long hair or whatever. Put it in, blow dry it, leaves a nice dry matte finish. Doesn't look like it's full of gel or nothing like that. Some people don't like the gel look.
Yeah, looking wet all the time.
They want to keep a dry look. So,
right.
Or that's really good for a lot of like businessman, professional looking haircuts and stuff. Or, you know, if you want to style it like the new modern style, all the kids are doing the crop tops. I believe we did one on Lil Man.
Yep.
And you know, you put in some of the matte cream there, and it gives it that nice textured finish. It looks so good. Everyone loves it. So. And
that's your last product you had?
That's the last product we just made. We released it about 3 months ago. About 3-4 months ago. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, and that came out great, man. Everyone loves it. So
you got the gel, you got the diamond dust.
Yep.
And the matte cream, and that's
matte cream.
All branded Fresko Fadez, all available at all 4 shops.
Yep. So, and that's another thing. I'm building up the online store right now, so that'll be ready soon, where people can order off the website and get it shipped and all that. So.
And that'll be all your hair care products and the apparel too.
Yep, and we'll have more available coming out soon too. So I got some other stuff coming.
That's cool.
Some other good ideas.
So beyond all the products, I know that the sword the man must yield is the clippers, and I know that. Part of the reason how I ended up being such a regular customer with you is your clippers did not fuck up my head.
Yeah, no.
So please explain to me and people out there some of the things that separates one barber from the other, because everybody's got their shingles hung out now that they're a barber. I'm personally curious about the tools of the trade. Yeah,
so the tools play a big part. I mean, I was always really like, you know, since I've been cutting hair since over 20 years now, right? I was always a Wall guy, you know. Wall and Andis is the most classic company. They've been around the longest, along with Oster. I actually learned how to cut and fade with the Osters. And then I went to the Walls because the Walls were awesome and fresh, whatever.
And a name everyone knows.
Yeah, so, and then, you know, Andis is the official, like, barber. Like, that's, if you're a barber, you use Andis, you know, the Fade Master Clipper, which is a classic. You know, so I went through each one. I went through the Walls, I went through the Osters, I went through the Andis, and when I buy a certain brand, I don't mix and match my brands. If it's Wall, I'm using the whole Wall brand, clippers and trimmers. You know, I went through those, practiced through all of them, and now I am officially using Babyliss by Conair. And Babyliss is probably the most leading clipper company out there right now as far as style, the team they've built up, their history, and all the new things they're coming up with right now. So they're leading in the clipper game right now, and that's all I use. I use the Babyliss Low Pros, and I use the lithium ion Babyliss clipper, and the shavers are amazing. They just came out with some new UV shavers. That's what I use. So this is not what average Joe is used to. I got a clipper and 10 attachments.
Over 200 a piece. No, I mean, like I got a buzzer. I put different attachments on. You got different buzzer for different job.
Oh yeah. I mean, I gotta have 3 clippers and 3 trimmers and at least 2 different shavers on my stations at all times. Some cut a little shorter, you know, some of them for the real tight fades, some of them are for little kids and for older people where you don't want to hurt their necks and stuff like that, so they don't cut as sharp, you know, and the other ones are just like more for how strong that clipper may be to get through more bulkier hair.
Right.
And then there's the trimmers, which is what we use to edge you up with. One's going to be set really close for when I do designs and I can really get in there and get sharp. And then one's going to be a little medium, and then a nice soft one for kids and other people. Same thing. So there's a different one for each task.
So your clipper gets as important as any.
Oh yeah, you got to know how to tighten those things up. A lot of barbers, they try to just keep one set, and they're going to set those things as sharp as they can, because majority of people, more people can take that than less, so they end up getting people nicked and stuff. So you gotta have a different clipper set up for different types of skin and hair. So at your station at all times, for sure.
So this is one of those things for people out there that wander into a random barbershop at a walk-in. If you see a guy trying to do everything with one clipper, this is not the way.
I had a barber borrow a clipper the other day because all their trimmers are set to sharp, and he's doing a baby's neck. So it's like you gotta have one that's not too sharp, bro.
Right. Right. So that's kind of an interesting thing too. Obviously your shops are more urban. They're more geared towards, older males, I shouldn't say older, but that 18 to 35 male. But being a guy who has taken his son there for forever and a day, I see all types of people come in. How much do you pride yourself on being able to have an inviting environment despite the cover of your book?
Exactly.
And what do you need to do? What kind of things do you have to tell your barbers and help keep your shop so that you can be urban but still inviting to everybody and cutting a baby's neck?
This is one big thing that I constantly tell the barbers and stress with the barbers is like, customers already feel awkward sometimes going into an urban barbershop, especially because they're like, oh man, they're gonna be playing hip hop, it's gonna be pumping in there, it's gonna be crazy.
Right.
So they come in, and then they're just like, oh, who do I talk to? And the guys are all like staring all crazy. And I'm like, guys, you're not gang members, you're a barber.
Yeah, right.
Hey, how you doing?
Right.
So I try to have poppin', vibey music first off. I try to not go too hard with the serious hip hop. Most of the time I try to play old school, right?
Right.
I'm always playing some old school hip hop. That's classic. So as soon as people walk in, you need to be inviting. Hey, how you guys doing? Can I help you out? You guys just walking in, or do you have an appointment set up with someone?
Right.
Talk to the customer. Never try to don't try to have any controversial talking in the business, because that's just bad. Someone else hears it from this chair, and then that guy wants to yell something over here. You got to be careful what you talk about. And if you're gonna talk about certain things that could be like that, keep it to yourselves.
And how much of a skill is that for barbers to develop? Because you don't have to cut. You also got to negotiate talking to people.
Dude, I'll be like, guys, if you're talking about anything crazy, like, be careful. You gotta chill, because I got barber ears, and I guess their bartenders get this too, bartender ears. I don't know, but I can hear a conversation that's going on over there while I'm talking to my customer. I can hear what they're talking about over there, and I'm like, hey,
right.
Check yourself, man. Dude, chill.
Right.
So always in the barbershops, you just always got to understand that these people are here to come give you money. They don't have to do that.
Right.
They could go to a shop where they feel a little bit comfortable, a little more comfortable than coming in here for the first time and dealing with craziness. So always try to keep the barbershop level to a chill mode, welcoming, greet. Don't look at people all crazy. Just they're coming here for a haircut and give you money, bro. Like, you can't get mad about that. So
right. I always find your shops to be really inviting.
Yeah. No, I would try our best with that, and because of that, we've built up a large amount of a variety of people, not just young kids that are down to come to the barbershop. I have a large amount of moms that I cut their hair, ladies. Actually, some girls even get their head shaved. They feel comfortable that they can come to my shop.
Right.
Even women. Right. And come and get their hair cut. That just shows that I have started a business that's pretty much for anyone. Anyone feel welcome. I got older men. I have clients that are in their 80s that I cut their hair, and they just love coming. They're like, man, I love this shop, you know.
Yeah, well, that's a good thing, because 80-year-olds had a bunch of haircuts. They know a good haircut when they get one.
Oh, for sure. No, for sure. I had a guy come in St. Pete at our fourth shop the other day, and he's like, really old guy, came in on his little scooter thing, you know, and he comes in, he's like, wow, now this is a beautiful barbershop. He's like, man, no one has a shop like this around here.
That's
I love it. This is my new shop. This is my new shop. And I was like, well, I don't have anyone right now. If you would like, I'd cut your hair too. And he's like, oh man, that's great. He came in. He was so excited, man. I made his day. He was talking to me about, because like I said, he was older and he's been all over the place. So he was telling me stories about other barbershops he's been through, and the best one he had been to that he felt was better was in Europe. I'm like, damn, that's badass.
There you
I'm
go.
right up there with some Europe shit. Okay.
That's good. Yeah, that's good. I think that's very cool that your shops can have their theme, but still to still be inviting and take everybody. And that
cater to everybody.
That obviously trickles down from your attitude towards people and interacting with people.
No, for sure. And like we've been, we were actually voted number one in for the Minnesota Business Professionals Group. We were voted number one for barbershop.
And that was for the shop in Bradenton, or just you as a collective?
I guess it's Minnesota, so I mean it's like maybe Manatee, Sarasota County, I guess. I don't know how they did that, but we got number one over there. And then you know, just showing like people are voting for us as a community barbershop, that they really like us a lot. You know, we just got voted number one from the LGBTQ. I guess they have like their own group out here, and they put together a nice event, and they voted for our barbershops. They're awesome. They feel comfortable coming to our barbershops and getting their hair cut.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, that's cool. Everyone feels welcome.
See, that's the thing I appreciate about it. You know, I walk in, rock and roll guy dressed in black and tatted up, and I don't feel weird.
No, yeah. Anybody can walk in. That's what it's all about, right?
Yeah, that's a very cool thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, man, you really got it all going on from here to St. Pete. You're getting voted number one. What's next? Are we going to see Fresko Fadez 5? Are you going to clone yourself? How are you going to do this?
It's definitely going to happen. I have a lot of other business ideas as well with the barber industry. You know, I'm possibly thinking of maybe doing a small school one day.
Ooh, that'd be nice. That way you can teach the things that are beyond the barbering that you're good at.
Exactly. So my whole thing was I wanted to teach school. I mean, I wanted to open a school that doesn't just teach the basics. Because in barber school, all they do is teach you just the basics. You know, they don't actually give you this whole real life scenarios and stories and how to talk to people. They don't do none of that. You know, you read your textbook, you do these little haircuts, and
trade school style.
You know, then you're done. But my school, I wanted to be more running like the actual business. That way, the barbers, once they graduate, because you go through the textbook part first 6 weeks,
right,
and then the next part you're able to cut customers now and practice. But I want to have it running, you know, like.
So this may be kind of an odd question, but when you went through barber school and the cosmetology training you had, at no point did you have any schooling about running the business or being an independent contractor or anything like that?
Well, they'll tell you the basics. You're going to be an independent contractor, or you're going to do commission-based or an hourly base, you know.
Right.
But they don't.
But you don't have like a semester of business management.
Hey, and then you got to go sign up and got to go get your taxes done. You got to get an accountant. You got to go pay, you know, do payroll if you want to be this kind of barber. You know, they just tell you a couple basic things, man. They don't give you the full rundown. So I want to actually teach, get them through the school, do the whole, obviously the regular program that they do, but also be more hands-on with them as far as teaching them what you're going to need to do once you get your license. What route do you want to go? Do you want to be a barber? Okay, well, if you want to just be a barber, go working at a barbershop, you're going to have to start up your LLC, so that way you can pay taxes on all your money that you get and maybe get approved for a car, a house, or something. They don't do none of that. So every barber out here barely even pays taxes.
They're just fumbling through the part that they had no education in.
Everyone out here is just making cash and spending money, you know, for the most part.
Right.
There's very few of us that are actually doing it correct, you know.
So if you could weave an entrepreneurial component into...
Exactly. Like a whole business course inside of the barber course.
Geared towards being a barber.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Showing you all the different areas you can reach out to. You can go to barber school, get your license, and be like, I just want to create hair products.
Right.
You know? And not end up doing that.
Still got to have the background.
But you still, but like, you know, I can show you all the different roads you could take in this industry, you know. I could be like, I don't want to work in a barbershop. I just want to go get a job for a company that just does shows, and I just go do haircuts on platforms.
So ideally, do you see yourself being able to, for lack of a better term, be able to almost kind of franchise the Fresko Fadez barbershops?
That's another thing. Yeah, that's what I was going to say too, is if I don't keep opening them on my own, I'm probably going to start franchising soon.
Because you got you've clearly got a framework in place that's viable.
Yeah. I actually have a lot of people reaching out to me trying to buy my business off me right now.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, it's not ready.
Yeah.
Not ready.
Well, that's standard. That's how you know you've done something right.
Right. Well, they also don't know what the heck they're getting into, because I'm like, well, my shop is a booth rental, you know.
Right.
There's 3 different types of shops. There's booth rental, commission, and then there's the hourly. Right. The ones that franchise are mainly the hourly, because they just hire anyone. People go in, get their hair cut, and they get paid with a paycheck. Barbers like me that end up being really good and on point and all that, they don't want to get paid hourly because they can make way much more paying a booth rent.
Right.
So this is where the whole model of how to franchise it is going to be has to be figured out.
So it's almost like a commission sales environment, where if you got a guy being paid flat rate, he's only doing what he has to do, but a guy that can make his own destiny is out there, and hopefully you get a hard charger and he's kicking ass.
Yeah. Yep.
That's interesting.
So it's a little difficult trying to figure out how to switch it to being more of a franchise mode.
Because as a business manager yourself and where you're at now, obviously it makes the most sense to not burden yourself with payroll and all that shit, and to motivate your guys to be independently successful under your umbrella.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if they wanted to take a paycheck, I mean, the business would make a ton of money.
Right.
But it's the whole model of my business. It's
right.
Booth rental.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Because a lot of it now is built on the reputation of the barber and the client to client.
And that's why you see supercuts, growing like insane, because people that go there don't care about their hair, really.
Right.
Most of the time, they don't really care about their hair, because they're the people that are like, it'll grow back, whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or whatnot. So the people they hire are people that don't care to make all that money like a really good barber does, that I'm going to go pay blue now because I want most money.
So
these are more people like, I know how to cut hair. I'm going to go get a little job, just get a paycheck and fuck some people's heads up. Yeah,
it's like being a line cook instead of a head chef or whatever.
But those businesses make tons of money because of the way that they run. They're paying them paychecks and keeping majority of that money from the haircuts that get paid. They're getting a small hourly rate. They're getting $10 an hour. I'll give you $10 an hour if you give me all your money you make from every haircut.
Yeah, right.
Hell yeah,
Yeah.
But that's why you see those chains growing so much, because so many people that go to those establishments don't care.
Right. Okay. So that's interesting to me, because you see a lot of people, and especially parents with kids and stuff like that just get these turn and burn haircuts. Who cares about it? I get that. I totally get that. And then money is an issue, because a proper barber cut is not as cheap as your wham bam cut. I get that.
And then they won't even write a review on that kind of place. But if they come to my shop and we give them a small little, there's like a little little line there or something tiny, we get we'll get some huge Google review.
Well, you should be proud that your expectations are high. But what do you see in the difference now in the culture of not necessarily the barbers, but the people coming to get haircuts from people like you that are starting to realize the investment of this is the way I look, and not just from a vanity point of view,
right,
but from, you know, I'm presenting myself in the workplace, I'm doing XYZ like this. How is the culture, not from the barber, but the person getting their hair cut, changed?
So a lot of it changed because, like we said, the barbering industry is huge now. So now it's like a badass thing if you got your own barber.
So the status part of it.
So the status part of it has changed to where I have some clients that I'm like, damn, I never expected this guy to find me.
Yeah.
You know, but he just so happy he gets to come step into an urban barbershop, gets a fresh ass cut from an urban barber that gets to kick back with him and talk shit and have a good time, and they love it. So many people, it has changed. So many more people feel comfortable to step into a shop now.
So you see people maybe being more comfortable to make the investment, not only because of the status part of it, but also because of now it's a different experience?
Yes. I would definitely say it's a different experience because they're coming into my shop where they feel comfortable coming into that kind of shop.
Right.
So they love it, and then they get, they get blessed, they get a fresh ass cut. So
that's great.
Yeah.
So, man, you got dedication, you got drive. It looks like you got an excellent team around you. Everybody that comes up under you got potential to come up and manage a shop, because it doesn't look like Fresko Fadez will be the end at 5, 6, maybe a school.
Yeah, man. The third and the fourth location, we moved those really quick. Like, we opened up the third, and then a year later opened the fourth.
Right.
That moved fast. We were doing amazing. So, not saying for everyone to try to move quick. My first business, I went through 3 turtle shows, as you can say, in 3 different locations, and that took time.
So do you get crisis of faith at these moments? Do you ever have the time where you're like, shit in your pants, is this gonna fly? Or are you able to stay mostly in the gung ho, I got this?
I mean, I know I always got it, but sometimes you do get that little
crisis
voice
of faith
back there in the back of your head, like, bro, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What's going on?
How do you quiet that guy down when you know you gotta do it?
Shut your ass up. I'll be all right. You know what I mean? I'm going to kill it. I'm going to keep, the other day, I'm not going to say I never stress, you know what I mean?
Well.
Because, I was just stressing the other day, But it's just when you start thinking too much into things, sometimes you have to think into things a lot. But when you got something and you got it, just relax.
So when that fear bubbles up, you just buck them down.
Well, I was like, you know what? I'm a good person. And I take care of people 24/7, more than, I don't post every time I help someone out.
Right.
Or when I walk out here and I see someone and I just, on the side of the street, and I shoot them a 20 or something.
Yeah.
I'm not constantly posting things I do good for people, you know what I mean?
Right.
But I do good things for people all the time, and I feel as if you're a good person and you're authentic and you really care about people and you do a good job every day, that good things are going to happen to you no matter what. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be all right, because I don't deserve nothing bad.
So having that ethos makes it easy for you to stick to moving forward.
Yeah. I try to just get that negativity out of my head and be like, you'll be all right. You'll be all right. This shit happens. You'll be all right.
This shit happens to everybody.
Happens to everybody. It's just all about how you react.
Right.
So...
Well, man, on that note, I want to thank you for coming. I want to thank you for sharing that. Dude, your attitude is great. Your drive in life is great. I'm inspired by you when I come to the shop. I'm humbled by your success, and I wish you nothing but the best going forward, man.
Yeah, man.
It's going to be Fresko 5, 6, 7, 10 all over the country in a school.
Sky's the limit, right?
Yeah.
Well, I actually said the sky's not the limit. So let's see, right? There ain't no limit.
Yep, no limit, brother.
Yeah. All right.
All right, well, we'll catch you again.
Thank you,
very much, brother.
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah.